Hi, my name is Shannon Witten. I'm a Red Seal carpenter and instructor here at the College of Carpenters and Allied Trades, and I make geometry videos for my students to help them with their homework and because I talk too fast during class. So this is for them and anybody else who happens upon it and is interested in bisecting angles. So my class has actually been bisecting angles and maybe not knowing it for a little while now, despite me trying to explain it. Now I'm going to get a bit more in depth as we try to find other angles beyond 90. So to start, I am providing two angles. I have no idea what they are, but they are angles, I promise that. One is acute, and so an acute angle would be less than 90. So if this is 0, 90 would be around here, and the second arm of my angle is going to be closer to my baseline. An obtuse angle is an angle that would be greater than 90. So especially when it comes to the next portion of this video, understanding that if a number is greater or an angle is greater than 90 degrees, I'm going to need it to actually go from 90 farther away from my baseline. So with that in mind, all you really need to do to bisect an angle, to cut it in half, is to take your compass and set it to any radius that your heart desires, within reason, because I need it to hit both of these arms. So I set it to whatever, and on my obtuse angle I'm just going to strike an arc, and really what I'm looking for is that that arc hits both arms of my angle, because now this actually represents an equal distance away from my apex. So I'll just label that apex, vertex, the corner of my angle. Now if I come off of these 2 points, that's how I'm going to bisect it. When we do lines, we go above and below a line on the ends. With an angle, I'm just trying to come back to this corner every time, so I can just go above. So if I'm bisecting these 2 points to cut whatever 0 and this main angle is in half, I just need to make sure I'm greater than halfway, right? Same with bisecting a line. If these are the 2 points my compass is coming off of, I need to be more than halfway between those 2 points. So that's somewhere around it. So I'm going to make an arc where I know the halfway mark is going to be roughly. And I'm going to come off of my other arm at that distance away and intersect that arc. Now I can just trace this back to my corner, and I've cut this in half. It is the same process for an acute angle. I just hit both arms and then come off of the equal distances that those arms represent and created. From my corner, vertex, apex. So this is what you can do if you're given an angle, or let's say you're doing some finishings like crown or baseboard and you want to cut something in half. You can bisect it this way. What we're doing in class, this is just kind of the theory behind it, is we're trying to find a specific angle and we need to bisect to do it. So I've jumped ahead and I've already made 90 degrees. If you're unfamiliar with how to get there, please refer to one of my previous videos where I say making 90 and I show you geometrically how we make 90 degrees. And that process includes striking an arc upon itself to get 60 degrees from this angle. So this would be 60 and this would be 120. And then I actually bisect 60 and 120 to get 90. So we have been doing this from the get-go if you're from my basic geometry class. Now, when it comes to finding and labeling a specific angle, I'm going to draw attention to the legend here. I made my baseline AB 4 inches, so you can see it. But I did label, this is the symbol for angle, ABC 15 degrees. So that is like a letter legend. It's telling me the direction this angle is heading. The first 2 letters are my 0, so AB, baseline. And the middle letter is going to be that apex of my angle. So that means that everything that I'm doing comes off of B being the center of my angles that I'm designing. So 90 is 90 to B, not A. So this works for me because I'm going to send 15 degrees off that way. Now I made 90 because I'm going to use it for 135, but to make 15, And I'm just picking two numbers, so hopefully you can apply it to your homework. I really could have stopped as soon as I made 60 degrees. So this radius is the same distance that I made along my circumference where I made that arc, and that's how I know it is 60 degrees. If I wanted to, I could just take the corner of my angle, go intersecting through that, and I would have 60 degrees. But I don't need 60. I need 15. And some of you may know that if you divide 30 by 2, you'll get 15. And if I divide 60 by 2, I'll get 30. So I have to bisect twice to accomplish 15 degrees. So I start with 60. And one of the reasons that we don't really create an arc when we are finding an angle is because when I started making my 90, I made myself an arc that was an equal distance away from my apex. So I did that. This is all just a byproduct of it. So I can just go ahead and come off of that 60 and strike an arc somewhere where I know halfway between 60 and 0 would be. And I'll come over to 0 and I'll intersect it. And now we have 30 degrees. So I have to repeat that process. And the reason I picked 15 for this is because sometimes a student will forget that you need to come back to where all of these points go along the arc, because that is my equal distance. So if I'm going to come off of 0 again and 30 to cut it in half, I need to know where 30 falls along this arc, because if I go off of this point, it's going to give me a very different angle than if I actually come the same distance away. And I do think that's a pretty common mistake. So if you're struggling with this, I draw my 30 line back to B, and I come to that first arc that I made, set my compass there, strike an arc somewhere where I know halfway is, and intersect it from 0. So 0, 30, and cutting that in half, I now have 15, and I can label this C. Okay. Not labeling these, it's not on my legend, it's not what the assignment's asking for, but you know, you get the gist. Now, I also put 135 on here because it's an obtuse angle. So if AB is 0 and this is 90, it means that I need 135 to end up somewhere over here. And this is where we do a little bit of deductive reasoning. Now, once you're in the trades for a while, or you do any sort of finish or baseboard, you might just know by looking at it that 135 is 90 plus 45. So if I have 90 over here, I have another 90 on this side. All I did here was extend my baseline a little bit so that I could swing that first arc all the way till it hit, and this would be 0 and this would be 180. Kind of imagine like a protractor. That's what we're making right now, and everything's based off of this first arc that I made. So if this is 90 and this is 90, but it goes to 180, then I can take 180 and that 90 and I can cut it in half. So I'm just going to come off of 180 somewhere in the middle and off of 90, and this is why I made the 90 to start, so that it intersects. Keeping in mind I keep my compass the same dimension when I'm coming off of these points. And that would take this second 90 degrees and cut it in half. So let me just draw that first. So this would be 45 and 45 degrees from each other. But in relation to AB, this is 90 plus 45 gives me my 135. And so I would label that D. So it's the same process, it just takes a little bit of deductive reasoning. How can I play around with these angles and multiples of 60 and bisecting to find what I need to for my homework? So hopefully that helps, and have a good day.